Good morning, team.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Let's get into It's All About Love. Let's talk about week 6. How did we do last week? We were focusing on our value proposition and really recognizing the fact that you are great at what you do, and so you need to believe it. Kevin and I have gotten some great feedback from the surveys over the weekend, but just a lot of people reaching out last week saying that it was a great time to really take a step back. Take a look at your differentiators as you're starting to wind up 2020 and start thinking about next year. So we're excited that we had such a great week last week and are looking forward to this week as well.
Yeah, that's right. And I think one of the things about last week, I got rather passionate on Thursday during the Ninja Accelerator, is that we don't spend enough time on our value proposition. So one of the things that we asked during our survey over the weekend, the question that we asked is, what is your value proposition? Or it was actually asked, when someone asks you, why should I work with you? What do you say? And so we had some great responses. One thing I want to point out about that question, remember, even if the person across the table from you doesn't ask you the question, they're thinking it. Remember that. So let's look at what was submitted this week. Amy?
Yes, we have 4 new exciting winners this week. The first one is Jennifer Folsom from the Peoria office. And what I loved about Jennifer's kind of value statement is she talked specifically about what she was bringing to the table and did a phenomenal job, really articulated her experience, her background with design, staging, marketing, etc. But then she also really pulled in what At Properties also brings to the table. So I always feel like that is a great 1-2 punch. Lead with what you do fabulously, but make sure to recognize that we bring a lot of stuff to help you look phenomenal. So Jennifer, congratulations.
Yes, congrats, Jennifer. And our second is Aaron Walsh. Aaron Walsh, what I love about his, and many of you put this into your response in terms of listening and asking questions. What I love about Aaron's is exactly that, is talking about collaboration with the team, but more so turning it back and using ninja dialogue. So the questions that he asked that you see at the end here, what are your goals? And the magic wand, I love that question. When you ask someone, when do you want to move? You ask any question and they say, I don't know. We're in no hurry, no rush. You ask, okay, wave your magic wand. In a perfect world, when would it happen? And then they'll have an answer. So Aaron, thank you. I think that's really good usage of the ninja dialogue there.
And then Connie Olker from the Libertyville office, also focusing on her ninja skill set. In her value proposition, really focuses on the Ninja 5, the 5 values that she brought to the table or brings to the table. And then what I also loved is she really pulled in her differentiators, the fact that she's a professional home stager, but she also talks about her time in corporate America, doing some of the things that she did and why that added value and why that was a differentiator in somebody working with her. So Connie, great job.
Yes, great job, Connie. And then 4, Rich Neal. So Rich Neal, what I love about this is that he too leveraged his past experience into how it translates in being able to create success for his clients today. And so that's something we often overlook, especially if we're newer. We overlook how our past experience and the skills we've learned and honed there do benefit our current clients. And I think that's really important. Amy and I have talked over the years about how it's really important that your value statement conveys all of the value, not just your time within real estate. If you've been successful in the past, pull those things in because there are skills that translate into how you sell properties quicker, for more money, how you're able to stage or present a property, etc. So congrats, Rich. Congrats to all 4 of you. And what do they win, Amy?
That's right. This week, our winners get a $50 Visa gift card. And remember, spend it on yourself because you deserve it. And if you can, try to support a local business when you do it.
That's right. Congrats, everybody.
All right, let's talk about this week's topic, which is prospecting. So now you've put together a phenomenal value statement. Now you know how to articulate why you're so great and why people should work with you. Now you need to focus on how to create and get opportunities to get in front of people to articulate that value. So opportunities are the key to good sales numbers, and you only get those through prospecting. So here's the thing, you've got to figure out how to create opportunities for yourself. The more opportunities you're presented with, the better the odds that you will get more deals done in a year. So you've got to figure out how to create opportunities. And that way to create opportunities is through prospecting. So that's what we're going to be focusing on this week.
That's right. And in sales, business, and really everything in life, there are three things we can control. We know we can't control everything, no matter how hard we try. These are the three things we can. It's your mindset, your actions, and your reactions. And so over the last few weeks, we really focused on your mindset, making sure that we're putting ourselves in a position to be successful, in a position to take those opportunities. But as we talk about prospecting, this is really now where we get into the actions and reactions. Prospecting is where we need to, if you haven't done anything yet up to this point, we need to make sure that we actually do something.
That's right, Kevin. So we want to talk this morning about the 3 laws of prospecting. There's the universal law of need, the 30-day rule, and then there's the law of replacement. So let's talk about the first one, the universal law of need. And I know every single one of us have felt this in our experience in real estate and sometimes just in life. It states that the more you need something, the less likely that it is you will get it. This law comes into play in sales when you have a lack of activity, when you are not doing anything, and it leaves you with a pipeline that's depleted. So let's think about it. How many times have we thought, oh my God, I absolutely have to get a client right now. The more desperate you are, the harder it is for you to actually get business. So the thing is don't stress about having to get more business. Just take action. Just do the things that you need to do to get people in your pipeline, and then it won't be depleted. We all sit there and stress. Stress does nothing for us. You've got to think about taking action.
And the second is that 30-day rule. Realize, what we do today or what we don't do today impacts us down the road. And what Amy just shared about, ultimately, let's call it what it is, desperation. Nobody is attracted to desperation. In this case here, if we're not doing something today, it's not going to impact us right now. And this is where we get caught into the roller coaster of real estate, right? Where we may be busy, we have closings now, but what are we doing to feed our pipeline 90 days from now? And if we don't take the action right now, within the next 90 days, we're going to see a gap. And it might be a gap in the number of opportunities we get. It may be a gap in the number of clients that we convert. It may be a gap in the number of closings we have resulting in income. And then it leads to what Amy was just talking about, where if we're not making money, we need a deal versus wanting to sell, wanting to work in real estate.
And it goes back to doing what you love because you want to, not because you have to, right? So it's really kind of focusing on doing the things you need to do day to day so that your business just comes. And so the last law in regards to prospecting is the law of replacement. And this basically states that you must constantly be pushing new opportunities into your pipeline so that you're naturally replacing opportunities that will fall out. And you must do this at a rate that matches your closing ratio. So you all can figure this out. The beauty of the CRM is we actually have it set in there so you can figure out how many people you need to reach out to based off of your goals for the year and based off of what your close ratio is. So it really makes sure that, let's say your close ratio is that you have to make sure that you've got 5 opportunities for 1 to close. Once you've closed a single opportunity, it isn't just 1 that you have to replace. You have to replace all 5, because keep in mind, for every 5 people that you've got in front of you, if only 1 person is going to actually close, once they do, all 5 of those people are gone from your pipeline. So you don't have to replace 1, you have to replace all 5. You've got to understand what your ratios are. And we can send out more details if you need it, but it's really set up in the CRM and should be easy for you to create on your own.
You know what's funny? Anecdotal story. I was just talking with an agent about their pipeline. And what they said is at the end of every year, going into the following year, what they realize is who they thought was in their pipeline actually never closes. It's super interesting. So when you're talking about this law of replacement, That's key. And one of the things, if you know Paul Boyd, throw something in the chat really quickly. If you know Paul Boyd or remember Paul Boyd, one of the things he said reinforces what Amy just talked about, which is the law of replacement. He used to say the 10 fingers. So if you went through a class with Paul Boyd, he would always say, if you have 10 opportunities in front of you and one falls apart, it's no big deal. But if you only have 2 opportunities and one falls apart, then it is a problem. So the law of replacement, what Amy's talking about, super important.
Good thing you put down the right finger. I'm just
I actually had to think about that. It took a second for me to figure out which one. The one other thing too, is there is also this rule of thumb that you should be adding, is it 30% to your database over the year? Is that correct, Kevin? Yeah, you should be adding, your database falls by 15% naturally every year. So in order to increase it, you have to add at least 16%.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, so there are 3 Ps that hold you back from successful prospecting. It's procrastination, perfectionism, and then paralysis by analysis. I think we've all probably experienced one or more of these. I know I have.
Yep. So procrastination, we've all done this. I am actually a big procrastinator and I don't love it. And it's something that I really always have to work on. But I loved this quote. It says, procrastination is the grave in which opportunity is buried. So it is our nature as humans to procrastinate, but there's really no reward for it. We don't get any benefit by holding off on doing something. And the thing is, the failure to do just the little things every day are going to cripple your efforts to achieve your goals longer term. So that's why at the start of It's All About Love, we talked about creating good habits in the morning, starting your day off right, making sure that you've got your 5 things that you incorporate into the morning routine to get you started off right, and to start already focusing on prospecting and creating opportunity for your business. To be great at prospecting, you've got to develop self-discipline. And it's just the little bit of discipline and the little bit of prospecting every day that can actually change your trajectory. And you don't have to take off a big chunk. I sometimes think we tend to do that, where all of a sudden we say, I'm not going to procrastinate anymore. I'm going to go all in. I'm going to call 50 people Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And by Thursday, you're dead. So just take little pieces. It's just tiny changes over a long period of time that can make a big impact. So if you don't call anybody in the mornings or you don't have any plan for prospecting, decide to pick 2 people today to reach out to. Start there, and then you can build after that. But don't procrastinate any longer. And I'm losing my earbud.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's it. Tiny habits. That's what we talked about during the day, the do it now morning routine, the daily routine that we've talked about, just small things, just a little bit every day. So the second is perfectionism. This is where we don't do anything because we need it to be perfect. And so a great example of this is really our CRMs, our databases. So what happens? We look at our database, we look at our CRM, we say, you know what? Once it's organized, I will start reaching out to people. Once it's organized, I will start marketing. But what's happening in the meantime? Number 1, we're not working on organizing it. So number 2, we're not reaching out to anybody. We want everything to be perfect. The other thing I remember, and there was an agent who didn't want to use the monthly mailer that we've been talking about so much. And they didn't want to use the monthly mailer because they were going to go out and take their own photos in the communities in which they work, then convert those and turn those into custom monthly mailers. Well, guess what happened? They didn't take any photos and no monthly mailers went out. So instead of using what was available, they were looking to do something to try and raise the bar when it was really unnecessary. They were reaching for perfectionism when it wasn't necessary at the time. They could have improved what they were doing, but they weren't actually doing anything. So that's where we get held up in perfectionism, where we want everything to be perfect. So we actually end up doing nothing. We end up not prospecting. We end up not reaching out, sending cards, doing all of these things.
And then the last one is paralysis from analysis. And I know so many of us have suffered from this. And this is where, quite honestly, sometimes you've got anxiety about picking up the phone and just talking to a prospect. And so you start overanalyzing what they're going to be thinking. You're almost projecting your own negative thoughts onto what they're going to be thinking, and you have no clue what they're thinking. You might think, well, what if they say no? Or what if they tell me they don't have time? What if they say this or that? Or, how will I know if they're really interested in buying or selling? And so you will go through this, analysis in your mind that will stop you from taking action. So you won't pick up the phone and you won't shoot them a text to see how they're doing and start getting the ball rolling. So those are all things that are so typical, and we all deal with these 3 Ps. You got to recognize that everybody does. The difference for you is you have to decide you're going to get beyond them and start taking action to make some change in your business.
Yeah, and let's be real about prospecting. It's not easy. And is there anyone, there might be a few people I can think of that might say it. Have you ever heard anybody say, God, I love prospecting. It is so awesome. I can't wait to prospect this morning. Have you ever heard anyone say that? No. Have you ever heard of anyone who's grown a successful, sustainable business by not working hard or doing things they don't want to do? Also no. So realize that prospecting is not easy. The people that are successful, if you look around within the industry at all the people that you admire, that you look up to, whether it's because of the way they handle their clients, their client pipeline, the inventory they have, the way they, the volume that they produce each year, it's because they work hard. It's because they prospect. There's no secret. And here's the thing, going back to what Amy just said about, getting past the fear really is that you've got to start interrupting your prospects. Like, what does that mean? Interrupting. Normally interrupting sounds like a negative term, but in reality, interrupting means that you have to make the call. You have to send the card. You have to text them. You have to email them. You have to send them a video message. You have to interrupt them, because if you don't have the courage to do that, you will never reach out to anyone. The fear of interrupting, the fear of catching them at a bad time will stop us from doing anything.
And so let's talk a little bit about the art of interrupting. The fact of the matter is we get interrupted all day long. And yes, sometimes we get annoyed by certain interruptions, but let's also recognize that sometimes people interrupt us and we actually enjoy the interruption. And what we're asking you to do too is not necessarily cold call. All of these people that are in your CRM should be people that know you in some fashion, in some way. So when you're interrupting them, if you're bringing value to them or you're bringing a smile to their day, the interruption may not be that bad. But let's face it, there's never a perfect time to call a potential prospect. And that's where that analysis paralysis can get underway, where you start thinking about, when should I call? Is 8 o'clock good? Is 5 o'clock good? Get over it. Call them when you're ready to prospect and you've got it blocked out in your time frame. And then we always hope that we're not catching them at a bad time. Guess what? We might be catching them at a bad time. Get over it. We need to get comfortable with interrupting and then engaging with our prospects. So start recognizing you might feel a little uncomfortable, but it ends up being a great thing if you can get comfortable interrupting.
That's right. And what's interrupting, like I said, it could have a negative connotation, but it's really not, as long as we're providing what, Amy?
Value, right? We have to be able to bring value to the table.
That's the key. And so an easy way to do this, just think about it. What have we talked about over the last 6 weeks? It's been making it about them and not us. If you call them and you're asking and you're truly interested and sincerely asking questions about them, their life, asking forward questions, it's not interrupting. You're not going to make anyone feel terrible. They're not going to be annoyed by you. You're asking about them. You're creating value. You're making them feel good, again, because you're making it about them, not about you. And the other thing with this too is, when you call someone and you're asking questions about them and you have a relationship and you're fostering and it's sincere and you don't have an end game to turn it around about you so you can ask them for a referral, if you're making it about them, they will feel good. We should have no fear in reaching out, and nobody is going to slam the phone down and say, never call me again. That's often our fear, that paralysis by analysis, where we're afraid of someone saying something that's highly unlikely.
Yep. And then the last thing to really think about is prospects end up meeting with you for their reasons, not yours. So back to this whole thing, bringing them value, thinking about the things that they might need. And that's where Ford comes in, right? Asking lots of questions when you get on with them, things that are meaningful to them. That's why Facebook is like a gold mine. You know, you go onto Facebook or LinkedIn and find out what's going on with these people before you call them. I'm not saying call totally unprepared. You know your stuff, know what's going on in their lives, and ask them stuff. But don't overcomplicate the message either. Just keep it really simple. And then just remember that you must always be answering this one question when you're engaging with them. And that is the what's in it for me? Because at the end of the day, when somebody interrupts me, that's what I'm always thinking. It's great that we're having this conversation, but if they can answer what's in this for me, I'm more than likely to stay engaged and then maybe want to take whatever that next step is.
Yeah, that's such a great point. Remember a few weeks ago, we talked about capturing attention, that everyone is trying to capture attention. When you talk about what's in it for them, if you can address that, then you are capturing their attention. They're more engaged, and then you're not interrupting in their perspective. So what are we going to do this week? This is what we really want you to focus on. And we need to get past the perfectionism. We need to get past the delaying of doing it. And I'm blanking on the word, which is procrastination. We need to get past that. We need to prep our CRM. So how are we going to do that? We're going to organize and track our prospects. Amy's going to share in just a second what the actual action steps are. But what we want to share is that the CRM has exactly what you need to do this. Now, yes, you could go out and look for some CRM that has, a ton of different functionality. It connects with all these different things. At the end of the day, for prospecting, it's calling, emailing, texting, video messages, all of these things. The CRM has it. And it has all of the functionality to be reminded, so you don't need to think about it. You don't need a spreadsheet. It's all within your CRM.
Yep. And here's the thing, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about focusing on branding and creating exposure. And we talked about your magic 150. So I really want you for this particular exercise to focus on your 1 to 200 people, and you know who they are. And what I don't want to hear are the excuses of, yes, but I've got 3,000 people in my CRM. It's a really easy fix. All you need to do is create a single farm and call it My Top Peeps. That's PEPS, My Top Peeps. And you can create that farm and you can simply go in and you know who these 100 or 200 are, add them to the farm. Now you've just created a subset of individuals that you can sort by and you can track. And then you want to make sure that they are, of course, are hopefully ranked A's, B's, and maybe a few C's. But the nice thing is once you've got this 100 to 200, those are the people you're prospecting to. Those are the people that you're reaching out to. And the beautiful thing about our CRM is you can rank your clients. You can enter details after every outreach or contact. You can schedule and set reminders for the next outreach. You can also set your individual sales goals for the year, and you can see how those are being impacted by the prospecting you do in the CRM every day. We have exactly what you need already available to you. The only thing you need to do is use it. So I really encourage you to embrace the CRM and take a look at how you can get it ready to really work for you to master prospecting as we move into the remainder of 2020. Right now is key prospecting time if you want to make sure that 2021 is phenomenal. Now is the time you need to be reaching out to people.
And here's what makes it so much easier. Remember, the best thing about platform is that it's fully integrated. Anyone that you've closed, anyone you've done a transaction with is marked in your CRM as a past buyer, past seller, past renter, or any combination of those. It makes it super easy. They're already marked. And if they weren't ranked before, they're automatically ranked Bs when you close out a transaction with them. So all the information is already there. And don't say, I have 5,000 people. How many? Who cares? Rank 10. Rank 10 today. Rank 15 this week. And just keep going. You don't need to do the sit down on a Saturday for 4 hours and rank 3,000 people. We talked about small actions. That's what Amy's talking about here. So tomorrow we're going to talk about coffee, and we're also going to talk more about prospecting, everyone's favorite topic. And why should it be our favorite topic? Even if we don't want to do it, it's because it's what makes us successful. It's the hard work that we put in that is going to take us to where we want to go. So video link is going to be out by 9:30 a.m. Watch for it. Make sure you have your coffee, tea, lemon water, and whatever you're drinking tomorrow.
That's right. And tomorrow we're going to talk about 12 strategies for prospecting success. So we're going to walk you through some of the things that you can be putting into place and thinking about now to start creating a great foundation for 2021. Like I mentioned earlier, this is the time where people are starting to think about what they want to do next year. You want to be in the flow in that conversation and in that thought process. Because if you decide to reach out to people in January or February, guess what? They may have already made their decision on who they're going to be working with moving forward. So let's take action now to have a phenomenal year next year. And then your resources for success. So in your packet that is already posted live on the Agent app, you've got prospecting phone scripts. So these are just some dialogue for you based off of what we talked about today to kind of get you started working with forward questions, making sure you insert your value proposition, and always remembering the thought of answering what's in it for me. And then the prospecting call sheet. We actually created a call sheet for you. So if you want to take your month, it's broken down by week and by day, where you can actually track calls, you can track text, and then the follow-up from all of those. And then we've got the Ninja Perfect Week spreadsheet from Excel. We can send this electronically to you as well in an Excel format, but I absolutely love this. This outlines how to lay out your week to make sure that you make room and make time for prospecting. And then the last thing we added was 14 things great salespeople do. It's a great article that I came across in my research over the weekend, and I just loved what it had to say, so I included it as a bonus pack for you. So enjoy your resources, and we'll look forward to seeing you on coffee tomorrow.
Yes, and all those resources, remember, they're in the Agent app post. So make sure if you missed a week, if you missed anything, if you missed a video, you want to go back and watch last week's coffee with Tom Downing or the Ninja Accelerator. It's all in the Agent app in the featured posts.
Thanks everybody for joining us, and make it a great day. And remember,
love yourself,
love others,
and love what you do. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye, guys.